Censorship, the act of preventing part or the whole of a book, film, work of art, document, or other kind of communication from being seen or made available to the public, because it is considered to be offensive or harmful, or because it contains information that someone wishes to keep secret, often for political reasons. That is how the Cambridge Dictionary defines the word censorship. But my personal definition is when the country doesn't want the citizens to play fun games like Postal 2.
Right? It's not a Volkswagen, it's not a Christmas tree. Right? It's a human being. Is it harmful? To the extent that it again sanctions practice, training, learning how to hurt, kill other people, it sets the stage for when people are instigated to aggression to use those skills that they have.
Censorship has been a big aspect of video games since the dawn of their creation, and that has given me a question.
Why? Where
did the censors begin, and what is the issue with censored games? So let's go to the beginning of video game history. At the start, there weren't that many violent video games. Video games were seen as risky for the time, so not that many game development companies began. That was until the company Atari came out and was like, "Hey, you wanna play ping pong? How the fuck did you get into my house? Look, but it's digital, whoa!" Then the other companies decided, yeah, maybe we should create video games too. And there were thousands of game companies that went in, tried to make games, but they were all financial failures. One game in particular, named Destruction Derby, created by the company X-City, they didn't like that the game was not a financial success, because now they licensed their game to another company that then went under, so they couldn't manufacture the game anymore. But that's when a man named Howell Ivey had an idea. To quote him, "But they were behind on paying us, so I thought, how can I change Destruction Derby to make it different so we have another game to put out there? It's very hard to change the gameplay when a game is done in hard logic, but to just change the images, that's not so hard. And I realized I could change the cars to people. When they get run over, oh, well, I can't have a dead body, but how about just a cross?" And that is how the game Death Race was born. And immediately it caused pure panic to all people who saw it. Newspapers printed about this very violent game that people were scared would cause copycat incidents where people would copy what they saw in the video games. But did that ever happen? No. No, it didn't.
Death Race really is fantasy, and nothing more than that. And we don't try to depict anything that really happens in real life. Well, first of all, just a new twist into the game. We took the cabinet, painted it black, and tried to project skeletons or gremlins running across a graveyard. And what happened now is when you drove your automobile, you ran into a skeleton, he emitted somewhat of a shriek, turned into a grave marker, and that's how we changed the game, and the sales went up quite a bit.
Okay, but pay attention to this guy, bro. I think he will actually kill someone.
If you drive LA traffic, and I'm a deliverer myself, you get tired of pedestrians, and these little things, kind of remind me of pedestrians.
Now this caused a stir and gave the company more money, but also death threats. People would flock over to the arcades that owned the cabinet of the game and play it just to see how vile it truly was. Which... I mean, I guess it's kind of brutal. And the news interviews, they tried to defend the game by saying, "Oh no, those are actually gremlins, not real people," but yeah, that was a lie. And then violent video games kind of stopped existing for a while. Until the 90s. Now more and more games were being made during this time. Were they as violent as Death Race? No. They were still pretty family friendly. And then the market crashed for a while, and then welcome to the 90s. VHS, MTV, Ruby Ridge. And in the video game scene, a little game came out. I don't know if you know it. It's called Mortal Kombat. It was something not seen before. It had realistic graphics for the time and had a lot of blood in it. Like, a lot. And then the news was informed of this game, and the media circus began again. Yeah. Another game affected by this media frenzy was a game called Night Trap. A game where you have to defend women from masked intruders. And for some reason the media kept on lying about what this game was.
It's an effort to trap and kill women. It is a sick, disgusting video game in my judgment.
This reached a boiling point on December 9th, 1993, where there was an entire Senate hearing about violent video games. Two of the largest game console companies at the time, Sega and Nintendo, were invited there, and Sega was a large target for the Senate, because on the Sega Genesis, you could play Mortal Kombat uncensored. Not like the Nintendo version, which censored it knowing it would be bad for business. Sega had all of the blood and the guts and all of the other vile stuff there, while Nintendo didn't have any of that.
Let me begin with you, and I suppose in one sense go to the heart of the matter. We saw the clip before from Night Trap with the woman being attacked, and I said earlier that I thought that violence was gratuitous and offensive and ought not to be available to people in our society.
I think, Senator, with all due respect, the point I tried to make in my oral arguments and testimony was that this industry, as part of the interactive media industry, has grown tremendously. The children represent only a portion of the audience that we try to serve with our interactive software.
And Night Trap was also talked about in the hearing, where Nintendo said,
Trap. And let me say that for the record, I want to state that Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system.
oh, if only they knew. But Sega came to the Senate hearing with arguments of why they should not be censored. Like, for example, that many young adults actually play video games, and that it's not just kids who play them. But something more that was established was that Sega created something they called the Video Game Rating Council, which was the first example of video game ratings. It had 3 types of ratings: GA for general audiences, so your Barney games and other kid stuff, MA13, which were games that were made for 13-year-olds, and games that were more mature. Mortal Kombat fell into that category, which the Senate criticized because 13-year-olds are not mature enough to see violence. And there was also the rating MA17, which was just for adults, no minors allowed. This hearing is very long and boring, and it's also sometimes infuriating. Like, Night Trap is a game where the objective is to save the women, not let them die. Like, how the hell did that get censored in Britain? It has good morals, what the fuck? But after this whole debacle, a new rating system was proposed that every video game publisher had to use, and it was called the ESRB, which had more ratings than the Sega version. It had early childhood, which are just preschool games. Soy, me Dora, can you find the island? Dora, the fucking island is right there, you fucking... It also had the kids to adult rating, which was renamed in 1998 to E for everyone. And there was also the teen rating, which was just for games with aggressive depictions of violence with minimal blood, moderate suggestive themes, and stronger use of profane language. And mature, the one that most gamers know. I fucking hate myself, I'm never gonna say gamers again. There's also adults only, but it's been used so rarely, I forget it exists. There's also PEGI, the one used by Europe, and USK, the one used by Germany, because why not? Quiet Germany, I will talk about you later. But still, after the Senate hearing, loads of people would arrive to blame incidents on video games. Like Jack Thompson, an activist and attorney. Wait, my producers are saying I have this wrong. Aha, I mean this board attorney, because he said that the Florida board was engaged in a vendetta against him because of his religious beliefs. Who also, I learned this like today, he once compared the CEO of Take-Two, the company that owns Rockstar Games, you know, GTA and stuff, to the fucking Hitler Youth. And he told that to the CEO's mother. Like, what? What? Now, most of these self-proclaimed activists try and say that video games cause violence, that they cause mass shooting, and more terrible stuff. These are serious allegations, but most of them are false. Like, this actual study shows that it had no effects on the mental state of a person, yet people still think that video games should be censored. But there are loads of issues with censorship. In 2014, the remake of the Wolfenstein franchise came out. If they wanted their game to be available in Germany, they had to remove the references about the Nazis, since German law did not allow any Nazi references in video games. Germany was the country everyone thought about when you mentioned video game censorship. When I played Wolfenstein for the first time this year, I played it on my PlayStation, which does not have the uncensored version on its digital store. So I was stuck with the censored version, and I noticed a large issue. German Wolfenstein, how do I talk about this? Does not mention the Jewish population. Seth Roth, a Jewish scientist, had all of his Jewish heritage removed. And I was dumbfounded when I played the American version and realized Hey wait, he's Jewish! By trying to remove the Nazis from Wolfenstein, Germany had inadvertently tried to remove the Jewish suffering from being discussed. And in Wolfenstein 2, the same problem happens but even worse. And in the scene where you meet Hitler, every Jewish reference is removed. By doing this, Germany had accidentally caused the game to lose its meaning. Your character's mother is a Slavic Jew, and that part was removed. Censorship, most of the time, is bad for video games that are trying to say something. Like imagine if in Half-Life 2, due to the censorship, every scene where the Combine are committing terrible stuff to humans was just cut. It would hurt the story, wouldn't it? How many books have been destroyed because they were seen as too vile? How many film reels have been burnt because they were supposedly too violent for the population? It doesn't matter if it's a critique, as long as it has something deemed not acceptable, we get to exterminate it. Video games will be censored, for shitty reasons, no matter how much evidence you show people. They will still believe that they cause bullying, cause murder. It doesn't matter if the answer is staring right in front of them. It's still video games.
Trap. And let me say that for the record, I want to state that Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system.